Hey folks, welcome back, or of course, welcome to Lone Pine Tarot. If this is your first time visiting here, either way, thank you so much for choosing to join me for our pick a card reading today. Haven't done a higher self message in quite a while, so I thought, you know what, we're kind of overdue. I'd love to tap into that energy today. So as you know by the title you just clicked on, our topic is a message from your higher self, the hidden truth your higher self is trying to tell you. So without further ado, let us pick our piles to choose the messages with. Using the Dream Ritual Oracle today, calling on spirit and higher self specifically of our collective. Please guide us to the right cards for the highest best good of all. Thank you. Okay, I do feel this one for pile 1. So we will choose that. As for pile 2 and 3, this one seems like pile 2 to me. We'll take that. And this one for pile 3. Let's unveil the cards together. So for our wonderful pile number 1s, over here on the left, your leader today is the card of transition. Beautiful. For our wonderful pile number 2s here in the middle, your leader today is patience. Okay. And last but not least, for our wonderful pile number 3s over here on the right, your pile leader today is the card of, we have revisit. All 3 gorgeous cards, all 3 wonderful themes. So just to reiterate, pile 1, your transition. Pile 2, you are patience. And pile 3, you are revisit. Though, as I always say, you are 100% welcome to pause on this part of the reading if you need more time to decide what pile you would like read for you. If you're new to Pick a Card readings and you want my suggestion on a method like Lone Pine, how do I choose my pile? My recommendation is close your eyes, taking a deep cleansing breath, ask your spirit guides, tell me which of these words you want me to explore more, or my favorite too is just to ask your spirit guides, give me a number 1 through 3, and that is the pile I will choose. Okay, but whatever your method, whatever way you decide, drop down to the description box below when you are ready, find the timestamp for your pile, and I will see you in our chat about the hidden truth and messages your higher self is trying to tell you. See you in your reading, everyone. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome today to your Pick a Card reading about the hidden truth your higher self is trying to tell you. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the card of transition as your pile leader today. We have the tree growing or sprouting out of the egg. We have the full moon, which represents completion or like the peak of a cycle, fruition, things like that. So I'm already getting a little bit of an intuitive hint as to what your message is, but I want to draw your other cards to be sure first. So, as we usually do in our tradition, let's begin with your tarot spread, and then of course we have oracle cards to pile 1. So, calling on the higher self of pile 1 today, the best version of them, the most spiritual version of pile 1. Could you tell us more about what you want them to know, the hidden truth, their messages? Thank you. Okay, I'm feeling drawn to this one right there. And this one is quite prominent too. I'm going to cut the deck for the rest. Beautiful. Okay, so let's first spread out your tarot cards. We'll explore them just a little bit, and then the oracle cards. So, the High Priestess. Interesting. Something about our intuition or a mystery we're trying to unravel. Very fitting for this type of reading. And then we have the Four of Swords. We have the energy of rest coming in as well. Just like the knight laying down with a sword on his chest, we have, strength. Look at that. Lots of major arcana so far, pile 1. Something quite pivotal, perhaps. Another major arcana. Look at that. We have the Hangman, too. Yeah, this is definitely an important message with all these major arcana. We have High Priestess, Strength, and the Hangman. Let's see what the last one is. Okay, not a major arcana, but it is a positive card. We have the Five of Pentacles, and in reverse, it tends to represent something positive, pile 1. Interesting. Let's see. Yes, the mystery, the rest, strength, different perspective. Your higher self, I can give you this little glimpse, and I'll talk about this as I draw your oracle cards today, pile 1. Your higher self for sure is trying to give you a message regarding overcoming a hardship you've been going through recently, especially because the outcome here is the Five of Pentacles reversed. As I said, very positive card, pile 1. Tends to represent when we've been struggling with a hardship, especially around like career or finance, because it is a Pentacles card. In the reversal, it means like we're going to come into a time of getting out of that hardship or getting out of that financial or career related problem. Okay, so that's what your spirit guides, or I'm sorry, not your spirit guides, your higher self wants to talk to you today about. Specifically because you have so many major arcana, pile 1, I get the feeling that this is quite, as I said, a pivotal moment for you, because as a tarot reader, I tend to see that lots of major arcana in a reading when we have what I call a tentpole moment in life. And a tentpole moment, in my definition, is basically, you know, we have free will for sure, pile 1. We can make choices in our lives. We can take different paths. But the tentpole moments are kind of major decision points, are like major, you know, literally like if you imagine a tent pole, and then between each tent pole, there's kind of that nebulous area of, you know, whatever the tent is made out of. Like those are the free will points in our lives. But the tent pole is like, this is kind of a predetermined major crossroads. Okay, so you're coming across this crossroads, and it's this transformation out of this hardship. I mean, even, you know, you look at your pile leader with transition, literally like transitioning out of something. It's moving in from one phase to another. Okay. I think maybe even why you were drawn to this reading, pile 1, is linked to very deeply to the High Priestess. The High Priestess, as I said, represents, especially as the inciting incident card I call the first one, a time in life where we've been really confused about something, or there's something that we feel deep down in our intuition, but it's kind of mysterious. We're not sure if we should follow it. We're not sure. Sometimes it can like represent like secrets too, because the High Priestess is a guardian of secrets. So it's like you're trying to find out this information, but you're not sure where to go, or you have this inkling about how to get out of this hardship, but you're not 100% sure if that's the right path to take. Okay, so your higher self is stepping forward today to say, hey, this is the path to take. Okay, so it might actually be more of an advice reading. Let's look at your oracle cards in totality. So first up from the Lantern Oracle, we have, let's see if I can grab it. Weeping Wound, number 8. You are not your wounds. Okay. Maybe a bit of the way we perceive ourselves is affecting this situation too. That's some of the process going on. Our pain from our past, maybe trying to define our future in ways that aren't helpful. And then from the Elki Oracle, oh cool, we have She Who Battles, Abanalaka, I believe is how you pronounce that. Anyone that knows better? If I butcher the pronunciation, I apologize. Correct me in the comments. But her keywords are justice, fierce, and commitment. Yes. So once again, we see that kind of hardship feeling with this card because she is a battler. She's a warrior. She's got a sword in her hand. You can see the spears behind her. She's someone that's had to be very tough and someone that's had to be very strong because of the situation that she's been in. And especially with the Elki Oracle pile 1, that tends to represent who we've been, or at least the way I use this deck, who we've been in a situation. Okay, so even though you're not 100% sure of the path ahead to get out of this hardship, hence the mystery of the High Priestess, you've been tough in your spirit guides and your higher self. I keep saying spirit guides for some reason. Maybe your spirit guides are weighing in those too, but your higher self specifically is like saying to pat yourself on the back for that, because despite not having the information you need or feeling like you're kind of lost, you still have been battling through the confusion and the mystery and the hardship. Okay, so pat yourself on the back for that. That's another message coming through prominently. And then we have Surrender Obsessive Thinking. Someone's peering at an apple. Kind of reminds me of Snow White a little bit. Even her hair looks black in the background. And it says, if you're obsessing about a person or situation, turn the dilemma over to spirit. Doing so will help bring you clarity or even solve the problem. Yes, it's been on your mind quite prominently too. And quite understandably, especially if we've been struggling with like financial or career hardships, as the Five of Pentacles seems to kind of indicate pile number 1. So when that card comes out, it's not a message of, you know, how dare you have been obsessing thinking about this thing. It's very understandable that you have been, but part of the advice with that is to turn it more over into spirit, okay? sometimes when we have problems going on in our lives, we can get into these spirals of worrying and worrying and worrying, which sometimes worrying is helpful. It's a good thing that we care about particular problems. Otherwise, then nothing would ever get done if no one ever worried about anything, because then no one would have that urgency, right? But sometimes we worry too much, pile one, especially when we feel this lack of control over the situation. And I do this too, pile one, all the time. A lot of times when I worry, it's because I really wish I had more control over a situation that I just don't. So what that card really means, pile one, is that whatever's going on, we'll delve into that more, of course, with your tarot cards, but whatever's going on here with this hardship, if you already know you've worried to the utmost that you can, and you've, to the point of like, you've already done everything you can to try to remedy the situation with whatever's in your control, any worrying past that point, your higher self is saying, you need to let go of that worry, okay? Because sometimes we just have to, at that point, it just becomes kind of like torturing yourself. Pile one is kind of what they're trying to say here, your higher self. It's no use to over worry about something if, as I said, we've already done everything we can within our control. And then at that point, we have to kind of just let it go to the universe and let it go to spirit, as the card says, to handle the rest on its own. Okay, so maybe there's been a lot of anxiety recently, as I said. Not blaming anybody. Everybody has that issue. You worry about something, you're anxious about it, keeps you up at night, etc. But it's like your higher self is almost saying this out of a self-care message here, pile one. Let go of the worry as much as you can, especially when it comes to obsessive thinking. Okay, and sometimes when we think about it even less, this sounds weird, but as the card says, sometimes when we think about it less, like it says, doing so will help bring you clarity or even solve the problem by turning the dilemma over. The solution comes forward when we step back from looking at every single little detail and every little tiny thing we're trying to solve. Okay, sometimes we need to step back, think about it less, return to it, and see it from a bigger picture. That will help bring you the solution that you're looking for to end this hardship, okay? You're well on your way there, though, because as I see with tarot cards or tarot spreads, the spread I like to use is kind of like a timeline, pile one. And when I say that, what I mean is it's kind of a snapshot of where we've been with the first two cards, where we are with the central card, and where we're going with the last two cards. Timelines can change, all right? And right now, though, I'm happy to report you're on the timeline based on everything you've been doing towards this hardship coming to an end. So I think that's another reason probably why your higher self is saying, you know what, pile one, just don't worry about it as much. Like, we understand why, but it's going to be okay because you're on the path towards overcoming the hardship with the Five of Pentacles reversed. Now, there is some advice in the meantime, though. Okay, that doesn't mean that there's not anything that you could do to improve the situation until then, at least. Not so much external actions, pile number one, because we already talked about, like, if you've already crossed all your T's and dotted your I's and everything that you can control, you've tried to fix, then you have to let, like, external actions out to the universe to, like, respond to those. But there are internal things that you can do, okay? And that's where we get into your tarot spread. So number one, we had the High Priestess, something that's been kind of confusing you, or you had an inkling about it, and you're not sure what path to take with this to overcome this hardship. That was the very first card. I'm actually going to move these sideways so that we have more room to look at your tarot spread with the room that we have. And then in the recent past position, we have the Four of Swords. Interestingly, the Four of Swords tends to represent rest, like something coming to a rest. So I wonder if maybe some of the worry has been like you didn't hear back from somebody on something, or you feel like something is a lot more dead or like sleepy than it should be. And what I mean when I say that is, maybe like doing like job applications and you're just like not hearing back. Like it's a time of rest. Like there's not a lot of activity going on with that energy of the Four of Swords. So maybe that's what's been causing the worry. You're like, I don't know what to do. Like, should I keep applying? Should I like reach out to these people? Or even if it's not job application related things, pile one, or it's not necessarily a job search. Maybe you've been trying to like apply for like aid, or maybe you've been trying to apply for I'm trying to think of different situations. But in general, I could go on forever with examples. Just something's been worrying you. I think about it, how dead it's had felt, I should say. Or like how sleepy something's felt. Like it's just not a lot of activity. I will say, though, pile one, you're currently in a position of strength. This is the current position card. You got literally the strength card. An upright, too. And what that card represents is both courage and willpower and internal strength. Keep doing as you're doing. Your higher self is saying you're doing the right things. This is a really good spread for somebody in terms of, like, you've been on the right path. You're doing everything you can. Spirit is recognizing that. Keep going. Keep holding on. You're embodying a lot of qualities right now that are helping you and will reward you in the end, is what your higher self is saying. Okay, so just in terms of what you're doing externally and trying to wrangle this into some situation that's going to turn out for the better, perfect. However, there is one little piece of advice, and this is why I said it earlier, this might be kind of an advice reading too. You have the Hanged Man in the near future. And then you also have Weeping Wound. And what that tells me as a tarot reader, pile one, is that with the Hanged Man, that card is all about our different perspectives. Sometimes it can also be like a martyr complex, because sometimes the Hanged Man is kind of seen as like, oh, the outcast, or he's being punished for something, right? But it's also about different perspectives because of the way he's hanging upside down. There's something that your higher self wants you to shift your perspective on, and I think it's related to the Lantern Oracle here about you are not your wounds with Weeping Wound. Intuitively, pile number one, I'm hearing a message about your higher self is saying there's something about your past with similar experiences to what you're going through right now that are affecting you in ways that are hindering you, at least for the sake of your own mental and emotional peace. Specifically, as one example, like, let's say when you were young, you dealt with, like, a lot of rejection. Okay, just this is an example. It might not apply to all of you. And so right now, say you're going through a job application process and you're getting a heck of a lot of rejection, just for example, once again. That can trigger some of those old wounds of, you know, oh, other people don't like me. Oh, I'm not good enough. You know, oh, you know, people don't appreciate what I do. Whatever those other, like, negative feelings and old wounds can pop up when we get, say, like, rejected by something. Once again, it might not be rejection for all of you. It could also be, like, a feeling of, I'm trying to think of, like, other examples. You know what I mean, though, pile number one. Just, we'll use the rejection example. Those wounds can crop up, and they can make it when we go through a certain situation that's similar to where we had the wound incurred in the first place in the past. It can reopen those wounds. So your advice here, pile number one, is switch your perspective on the situation when it comes to the negative feelings that you're feeling that are cropping up because of reopening old wounds. So say, for the example, we'll go with the rejection thing again. You have this inherent feeling of a lack of worth because you think, oh, well, I got rejected when I was young a lot, and now I'm getting rejected again. You might have that perspective of, oh, I'm not good enough. Just, we'll use that as the example. In that case, your higher self is saying, well, it's not that you're not good enough, pile number one. Sometimes when we get rejected, it says more about the party or the person who's rejecting us than it says about us ourselves, okay? I think the problem is that when we get rejected or when we get told no or, well, etc., whatever's going on with your particular situation, we tend to think that the other party is infallible in their logic, at least when we do have maybe, say, rejection sensitivity. But the thing is that they can make mistakes too. Like, they're not the end-all, be-all of opinion. Just because you got rejected from one place doesn't mean that, you know, say you're bad, pile number one, if, like, say it's a job application search, right? It just means that maybe they didn't see all of your good qualities. Maybe it's, you know, the old saying, rejection is divine protection. Maybe that place wouldn't have been good for you in the first place, okay? We always end up where we're supposed to be at the right time. I at least inherently believe that, pile one, and I'm seeing that as kind of a message for you from your higher self here too. You're going to end up in the right place at the right time. It might not be our timeline and when we want it to happen, and it might make us feel a little uneasy because it's out of our control. But I do believe that because of this being a tentpole moment, as I said before, this is a preordained situation that wherever you're going, whatever, when I say overcoming a hardship financially and especially career-wise means to you, that is something that was predestined. Okay, so just know that overcoming the hardship is in your future. It's just the best thing to help yourself right now in the interim is change your perspective on how whatever is happening that is negative affects your perception of yourself in a negative way. If I had to kind of summarize everything I was just talking about. Okay, you've been fierce. You've been tough. You're doing everything right. Maybe that's part of the message you need to hear too, pile number 1. Maybe your higher self literally is just coming forward too, just to say you're doing everything right. Because maybe you keep asking yourself, God, am I doing something wrong? Did I interview badly? Or maybe, you've been having troubles at work. Maybe it's not a job search and you're like, oh my God, do I suck at my job? Maybe I got yelled at work, or, maybe you've been trying to sell something to make more money and no one's buying it until you think, oh, does the thing I do suck? Those negative feelings, just throw them out, pile number 1. Well, acknowledge them, but then alchemize them through that process of the hangman into the different perspective of, instead of saying, I got rejected because I suck or I'm not good enough, think about it as I got rejected because there's something better for me somewhere else, or I got rejected because that wasn't the right place for me, or I got rejected because the hiring manager was tired that day and was mad about something else completely unrelated to me, and unfortunately maybe that affected you just because they were in a bad mood. That can happen too sometimes. It's unfortunate, pile 1, but sometimes we don't even get hired for some reason because literally just the person interviewing us is having a bad day and they take it out on you. I mean, they might not even consciously know it. They're grumpy that day and they're like, and then the next day say they're really happy and then they interview other people and they're like, oh, this candidate looks great, just because they're in a more optimistic, positive mood, just because it's a different day. It's things like that, okay? So just don't take it personally, pile 1. Keep your chin up. You are in a phase of transition too. I mean, even the pile leader you chose, remember that? We didn't talk about that yet. Remember, the full moon means something coming to fruition after a process of growth. Okay, you're coming to fruition here. Things are going to change. Okay, you're in the process of transition to something better. And just remember that outcome of the 5 of Pentacles reversed, hardship over being overcome. Okay, you're well on your way there. Just keep going and believe in you. All right, believe in you. Believe that you're good enough. Believe that any place you are accepted by is gaining a gift, okay? Because they are. I mean, think about, whatever this situation has been for you, wherever you're going, whatever you're trying to do, you are a gift to that place. Think of yourself as, I'm offering something golden on a platter here, rather than, oh God, I hope I'm good enough and they accept me. I mean, think about, are these places good enough for me? That's another thing we don't really think about too, especially if maybe we're struggling with some self-esteem or rejection sensitivity or whatever might be going on in your life, pile 1. We never think about, how am I a benefit to other people, and or, what are the great things that I offer that I don't even acknowledge myself? Okay. So pat yourself on the back a bit more. And you'll find your place. You'll find your hardship overcome here. You're well on your way there. Just flip the script a little bit on what you tell yourself in the meantime. All right? So that was your message from your higher self today, my wonderful pile number 1. I hope, number 1, that it helped you. That's what I care about more, or most with our readings, number 1. But also you liked it and it resonated with your situation. If so, forget a little YouTube spiel, but you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. Every little bit helps the channel grow even more and more. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not all 3. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 1, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 2. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about the hidden truth and messages your higher self is trying to tell you. And as you recall, you were drawn to Patience as your pile leader today. So we have the bucket pouring out water, streaming slowly down into the pond with a crescent moon. Very beautiful card. So I wonder if maybe some of you have been waiting for something. Maybe that's why you were drawn to Patience. But let's see what your other cards say in terms of your higher self's message. Beautiful. So begin with your tarot spread, calling on your higher self today collectively as your pile 2. Could you tell us a little bit more about the truth you want them to know, the messages you're trying to get across to pile 2? Thank you. And then after we draw the tarot cards, pile 2, of course, we will draw... there we go. We will draw your oracle cards is what I was going to say. Ace of Pentacles reversed was the first card, yes. Maybe we've been waiting for an opportunity and it has not been coming our way. Maybe that's the patience element. Let's see, anything else that stands out? 2, 3, 4, and... I'm drawn to this one. Beautiful. Okay, let's unveil your tarot cards, pile 2. And then we'll draw your oracle cards. We have, more pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. Might be career and finances and resources focused. Let's keep going. We have the Ace of Cups reversed. Lots of aces reversed today. We have had to be patient, haven't we? That's why you were drawn to that card. Okay. Then we have the Four of Wands reversed. Yes, okay. And then last but not least, we have, the Page of Cups, which is always fun to get as an outcome pile too, because the Page of Cups, well, it can represent a person who is a young water sign, someone who is younger or youthful in the way that they demonstrate their emotions, but another traditional interpretation of the Page of Cups is a surprise. So I almost wonder if your higher self might be giving you a heads up about a surprise coming your way. Let's look at everything in totality here. Yeah, the first glimpse, overall impression I have of this spread for you, pile 2, is, as I said before, it's like you've been waiting for something. You've been waiting, hence the Patience card, but also with all the aces that are reversed, you got both Pentacles and the Ace of Cups reversed. Aces in tarot tend to represent new energy because of the very beginning of their suit. So what that means for you, especially in reverse, is that it's like you've been waiting for like new energy to come in, but things have been really stagnant, especially in terms of perhaps finances, because you do the Ace of Pentacles reversed, or like career, your stability, resources, and even too with the Four of Wands reversed, that can represent things being kind of shaky stability wise, or like feeling like there's nothing to be celebrated, is another way that you can interpret the Four of Wands reversed. And what I mean by that is nothing to be celebrated in terms of like something that just doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like a victory, or doesn't feel like something good is happening. And then the Ace of Cups reversed can represent like feeling like blessings are just not coming our way. It can also mean too like an emotional deadness, because it is the cup suit and water. Water in tarot represents our feelings, relationships, maybe even too, you've been trying to like meet new people for like job connection related reasons, networking, or like relationship related reasons, maybe trying to meet a partner, or it could be something to do with like family as well. That can be the way that Cups represents itself, especially in tandem with an Ace of Pentacles, and then we have the Queen of Pentacles too. I will go into this more depth into what this means for you, but let me draw your oracle cards too, because I want to see everything in tandem as a full picture before I interpret fully. So first up we have El Key. You know, it almost feels like for some of you, you were waiting for something and you sort of got like an answer, but it wasn't like a full emotional satisfaction or outcome. I say that because you have the Queen of Pentacles as your recent past. And a Queen of Pentacles can mean like internally secure pile too, and like happy with what you have in terms of your money, but it doesn't necessarily mean, especially with the Ace of Cups right afterwards, it's like it might not emotionally fulfill you. Like I wonder if some of you had to take a job that you didn't really want, but you just needed to pay the bills. Like that's one way that might manifest itself. It could also be like you're secure where you are, but you're not happy. Like that's kind of some of the feeling too. Let's keep drawing cards. I will tell you, though, that's, as I said, a positive outcome there with that Page of Cups at the end, a surprise. So I'm curious as to what that surprise might be. But definitely your higher self is acknowledging there's a bit of a, maybe an emotional discontent with something recently. Let's peer at your cards. The Lantern Oracle will probably give me the biggest hint. So we have forgiveness, number 26, hurt blocks our light. Makes me think once again of like a heart wound. She's almost holding her heart, like, ouch. Something that happened was not good for our heart or didn't make us happy. And then the surrender card today is, interesting. Surrender to the beauty of the natural world. Take a relaxing break and spend time in nature. Replenish yourself by feeling the beauty and the ecstasy there. Wonderful. I will always vouch for the healing magic of nature. Hence why my tarot channel is named after, pine trees, right? Then from Elke, we have She Who Brings Light. What is all this light? Lots of light imagery. She Who Brings Light, Blanche. Light, Serenity, and Beacon. There's even like shafts of light here in your natural world card. What an interesting blend of cards here. Give me a second, pile two. Apologies for the silence, but I want to make sure I'm threading the message together correctly here. Another thing popping forward, pile two, is the sensation of, remember earlier when I said there's like some emotional discontent going on here? Like you might technically sort of feel secure with something, but it's like you're still waiting for another half of the situation you're in to click, if that makes sense. That's where like the patience comes in, because it's like you technically got like one half of something done, or like you got to some like sort of security with the Queen of Pentacles in the recent past. But then, as I said, it's not necessarily the most emotionally satisfying situation to be in. Like it was an answer and it got the job done, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel like it was a blessing because of that Ace of Cups, especially reversed in the present position here in the middle. It's almost like you've been walking through a fog, and you thought that when you got to this place, like the fog would clear, or like, okay, I got this step done or this half done. Now the fog will clear, and then you come to this crossroads, and then you're still standing in the fog and it's not clearing, and you're like, well, why is the fog still here? Why am I still not happy with this? Why am I not feeling fulfilled? Or why does it not feel like the blessing that I thought it was? It's that kind of sensation I'm getting off of this reading, pile two. Really curious what situation this will be for all of you. Everyone will be different. Way down in the comments down below because I'm curious. And you're like, well, when is it going to click? When is it going to come in? Like you're sitting on a shore waiting for a ship to return, and the ship just is like not coming in. You're like, well, what the heck? And I think what your higher self is trying to tell you, pile two, is there is momentum coming in this area of your life. We do see that because especially the Page of Cups and that surprise. Now, what that momentum and that surprise comes in or comes forward in, like what form it is in, it probably will be different for every single one of you, but I almost think for a lot of you it's going to be an internal realization rather than an external step or like an external event of some sort. It's something that your higher self is trying to shed light upon for you, because we see a lot of that imagery of like light. Blanche, obviously, it says light literally, but shafts of light coming through the woods, shafts of light hitting the heart of the forgiveness card. Especially because it says hurt blocks are light. I'm going to draw just a few more clarification cards, pile two, because this one's stumping me a little bit. I'm going to do one on the forgiveness card. This emotional fog. Can you higher self of pile two? What do you mean by the forgiveness card? Can you give me a little more clarity on that? Thank you. And like the realization too. It's a surprise and a realization. The Fool. Ooh. And look at that light finally coming out behind the clouds. We see light again, pile number two. Might see a lot of synchronicities with like dawn symbolism in the near future, pile two, from your spirit guides. I know we're talking about a higher self message, but specifically, I always see synchronicities with spirit guides. The Fool, a new beginning. Yeah, it's like you went somewhere new and you got somewhere, but you're like, well, this isn't really the answer I was looking for. Like, it does the job, but it's like, hurt blocks are light. And the Fool is a new journey something starting, the optimism of stepping out on a new adventure. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Hear me out, pile 2. This might sound odd. If it doesn't resonate, feel free just not to listen. But I think the realization a lot of you are going to come to with this situation is that you're not going to find the blessing or the satisfaction that you're looking for where you are, because it's just because there's so many cards about like shafts of light and like newness. I almost think you're being encouraged to consider a new path, pile 2. Because it's like you're staying in this one place, and yes, it's secure. You have the Queen of Pentacles in the recent past. You're like, well, yeah, I got my T's crossed and my I's dotted, right? And things are okay, I'm stable, but I'm not happy here. I'm not 100% emotionally satisfied. It still feels like there's this fog. In the near future position, you have that Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands reversed, pile 2, in the near future can mean like we're coming to the realization, as I said before, of like, well, this is not something really to like be celebrated, or I don't feel necessarily stable here, especially with the numerology meaning of 4. At least to me, it tends to represent stability. And so it's like you realize, well, yes, I have the stability of finances and income, but do I really have the stability of, am I emotionally satisfied? It's not necessarily saying like make a rash decision. Like don't, say if like it's a job that you're secure at, but you're not necessarily happy with. It's not necessarily a message from your higher self of like, well, dump the job now and then run off to something else. Like your security is important, pile 2, but I think you're being asked to consider, as I said before, a new path. Because where you're waiting now, with your utmost of patience, it might not come to you in the place that you're in. You might have to go out on an adventure to seek it. Hence the Fool, because the Fool is a card of new beginnings. And I asked that specifically to clarify the forgiveness hurt blocks our light. We might have a reluctance to start something new or go somewhere new because I almost wonder if you feel like this situation owes you more. Like you've given a lot to this company could be one example. So you're like, well, I want to like say you put a lot of effort into doing well at this particular company. If it's a job related thing, just as one example, and you're like, well, I put all this effort in, I did all this work, I want to get this promotion, I want this company to pay me back for like everything that I did for them, right? I think you might be in a situation where you might not see that outcome because what you're looking for, they're saying, is like not found here. It's going to be found elsewhere, somewhere new. All right. And that's where the forgiveness card comes in, because I almost wonder if there's even a bit of resentment here, a little bit of a hurt, like, well, I want more out of this. I deserve more. And it's not, Spirit's not saying that you don't deserve more, pile 2. It's not that they're saying, well, how dare you want more from this situation, or how dare you want this situation to provide more for you. I think you're in your right for wanting that, but sometimes we're in life, we're in situations where like there just isn't more to be gotten out of a situation. So sometimes it's best to pack up our bags and move on. Okay, so the light and the clearing of the fog that you're looking for is when you step out and let go of that hurt and that resentment and move into the light, move on to a new adventure and try to find something better elsewhere. Okay, so it might be something as minuscule, at least in terms of like the mundane explanation of it, not minuscule to what it means to you, but as minuscule as like, say, let's say you're at a job where you work in a certain department and you've been considering moving to a new department, but then you're like, well, I put all this effort in this department and I want to get a promotion here. But then like there's not a lot of upward mobility in this particular department. So in that case, it's like your higher self saying maybe you do need to move to the other department over there with that opening, if there is like a job opening somewhere else, to get the light and the satisfaction that you're looking for. Just as one example. Or it could be something as big as literally like once, you're secure, right? Don't obviously quit your job immediately, but, if you're secure, maybe that's literally moving to a different job entirely or a different career entirely. That could be another thing. Or, moving to a new place or moving to, like I mean, whatever new adventure means to you in this situation, I think that's where your higher self is kind of nudging you. Especially too, because with the surrender to the beauty of the natural world. Yes, it talks about going for a nature walk, but we also kind of think of walking into the wilderness as walking into the unknown. And it's odd, because sometimes when we walk into the unknown is when we find ourselves even deeper than we expected. At least, and what I mean when I say that is realizing more of who we are because we're in the isolation of a world that doesn't project a bunch of reflections that aren't necessarily true upon our own souls. I said that kind of in a, it's not really a mundane way, but you know what I mean. You take that as you will. And then too, with the surprise of the Page of Cups, there's a surprise coming for you. I'm going to draw some more tarot cards on that. I have an intuition feeling that the surprise is either the opportunity coming along for you to go on that new adventure. It just kind of comes out of left field. You're like, well, what the heck is this? Or it's also possibly like you suddenly having like a push towards that new adventure. And at first you're kind of like, I'm not sure, because I still want something more out of this initial situation. But then there's like a happy surprise there of, oh, actually this is the better place for me, or the better path. And you're like shocked that you actually like it more. Higher self of pile 2. Could you tell me more about the surprise? Maybe 1 or 2 cards. Well, especially because the 4 wands can also mean the home. Are some of you considering moving? Some of you might be considering moving, maybe to a more rural area because of the natural world card. Okay, so the surprise we have, the Tower. Oh boy. Dramatic. And then we have the 3 of Wands reversed. Okay, so the surprise is coming from a sudden change. That's what the Tower means, pile 2. Sudden upheaval, sudden change regarding a plan that we've made that doesn't necessarily go the way we expect it to, because the 3 of Wands reversed tends to represent we've made plans and we're ready to take action on them, but maybe they're not going exactly the way we expect. Because when you look at the 3 of Wands, typically it's like a man overlooking the sea, and, you know, at least when you look at the original Rider-Waite-Smith version, usually he has ships that he's launched and he's kind of waiting. He's like, oh, I launched these ships. Let's see how it goes. Reversed, it's maybe one of the ships got lost. Maybe they didn't navigate the right way and they ended up at the wrong port. You know, extrapolating that to your life pile 2, it's like, yeah, there's something sudden coming here, especially with the Tower that popped out with the Page of Cups. It's literally like the 2 major like surprise change cards. So your higher self is giving you a heads up about that. Now, I know sometimes people look at the Tower and they think of it as kind of a scary card. I like to look at the Tower more as it really is a blessing in disguise card, because the Tower only falls, pile 2, when it was built on shaky foundations in the first place. Okay, so when this change or this surprise comes that ushers you towards a better path, that might not look like the best path at the very start. You might kind of be like, well, I don't know. I want more out of this situation. I don't want to leave this place, or I don't want to do this thing or go on this path. Consider that it might be that blessing in disguise, okay? It might not be the path that you expected, but it is the path that will give you what you're looking for that you're not finding where you are right now, okay? It's the only mechanism of action it needs from you is to let go of either resentment or hurt or a feeling of, well, I'm owed something here. Because you're not going to find it where this place is. You're going to find it after the time of sudden change and on this new adventure with the Fool. Okay, so welcome change. Welcome what looks like chaos, but really, as I said, once again, I'll reiterate, is a blessing in disguise, okay? And that's where you're going to find what you've been so patiently waiting for. All right? So that was your message from your higher self today, pile number 2. As I always say at number 1, I hope it helped you. That's what I care about the most with these readings, but also you liked it, it resonated, reflects your journey, etc. If so, Usual YouTube spiel, you know what I'm going to say. Like, comment, subscribe, all those 3 wonderful things. And thank you so much if you choose to do 1 or all 3. Helps the channel a lot. Even just liking the video is wonderful. So thank you so much if you choose to do those. And as we say in our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, Pile 2, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome today to your Pick a Card reading about a message from your higher self and the hidden truth it is trying to tell you. As you recall, you were drawn to revisit as your pile leader. So we have a house on top of a cloud, the meteor shower in the background, the moon as well. And revisit, as we all know, is about returning to something that was. So I'm getting a bit of an intuitive sense here that this message might be related to something from your past or something that you want to regain that you lost, but let's look at your full spread to be sure. So first we're going to draw your tarot cards as always. And then we also, of course, have some oracle cards. So calling on your higher self for the highest best good of pile 3 today. Could you tell me a little bit more about the hidden truth you want them to know, the messages you want them to hear? Thank you. For their highest, best good, as always. There we go. There's card number 1. Beautiful. And we'll unveil those, talk about them a little bit, and of course we'll draw your oracle cards and weave the message together in tandem. So first up from tarot we have, the Hierophant. Speaking of the past, the Hierophant pile 3 represents what has always been tradition. Okay. Sometimes it also represents authority in a situation. We'll see what else pops out, but fittingly that it came with your revisit card because we were already talking about the past potentially. Then we have the 8 of Cups. Emotionally leaving something behind, moving on. Okay, clear picture. We have, another card that means movement and leaving something behind. We have the 6 of Swords. Literally, he's getting on his boat and he's like, I am out of here. Okay, I am getting up or getting what your higher self is putting down. Okay, Hangman reversed. Makes 100% sense. And then last but not least, we have, the Wheel of Fortune is the outcome. Okay, I'm going to tell you this, pile 3. Fantastic card to get as your outcome with this situation. Something happy is coming. However, as with most things in life, there is a little bit of maybe work to be done before we get there. But your higher self wants to help you get there. So that is why they want to speak to you today, or why you want to speak to you today. Speaking of your higher self. Yes, energy of the past with the Hierophant, the 8 of Cups, moving on. 6 of Swords is moving on. Hangman is needing to look at something in a different perspective. And that'll be your key towards the fortune coming your way with the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, let's draw your oracle cards. We'll see the whole message in totality. Talk about your tarot cards a bit too as I draw these. Pile 3. I don't know what it is that you're trying to run away from or you're trying to leave behind. But this is where this message is coming from. You're trying to either break something that has always been, but maybe you've been struggling a little bit with leaving it behind. Literally, sometimes it can be like moving, like literally physically moving in terms of like where your home is. Maybe you always have lived in one place, but you're considering moving somewhere else. But emotionally, it's been hard to leave behind. It could be like a relationship that is emotionally hard to leave behind, a job. Maybe you've been there for a long while. That's another way that the Hierophant can represent itself, is because it's the card of tradition, pile 3. So it's something that's been for a while, a long, long time. Okay. And it's hard to leave things that we've been at for a long time. Okay, we get so comfortable and we think, oh, it's the devil we know. We think, well, it might not be the best place, but at least we know how it operates. We know what to expect. But at the same time, pile 3, sometimes when we stay in one place for too long, we neglect or deny ourselves the chance for things that are better. Okay, so I think that's where this message is coming from. Let's look at your other oracle cards, though. So from the Lantern Oracle, we have 31, intention. Lacking personal direction begets confusion in life as a pawn to someone else's game of chess. Yep, okay, that makes sense. So pile 3, number 1 question to ask yourself or meditate on with this reading is, what do you want from life? Okay, that's what that card is asking you to ask yourself. Okay, let's look at your other cards, though, before we say the whole message. We have, oh, yeah. I literally was just like, what do you want from life, pile 3? And then you get Desiree, she who yearns. What does she yearn for? She's yearning and longing and pining for something. Pile 3, why are you denying yourself the thing that you want? Is what your higher self is saying. They're like, hey, wait a minute, you want this thing. You've been dreaming about it for a really, really long time. And I think, too, because of, you have such an abundance of, like, green cards, pile 3. Green, to me, in cartomancy tends to represent, well, like, the heart chakra obviously is green, but in general, things that will heal us, things that are better and healthier for us. I wonder if the situation you're in is particularly, I don't want to use toxic because it's kind of a cliche word, but where you are right now might not be where you're the happiest. And that makes sense because you have been yearning so much. We don't yearn for that which we don't already have. Or we don't yearn for that which we already have. Okay, so... And then, speaking of green, look at that. We have surrender to silence. In quiet meditation or contemplation, let go and enter the stillness within. Speaking of healing, silence can heal and replenish you. Someplace quieter. Someplace less busy. Someplace better for us, especially our heart chakra. Look at all that green. Okay. Even the robed figure in the Wheel of Fortune is wearing lots of green. He's very happy, very lucky. He's got green. Yeah, so your higher self is wanting to get you to a place that's somewhere better. I think the matter or the issue is, though, pile 3, is you're denying yourself either wanting it or you're denying yourself the path towards it. Because, as I said, it's the feeling of, well, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't. Or, the old saying of, one bird in the hand is worth 2 birds in the bush. We always have this logical fallacy of, well, what I have, at least I have what I have now. If I try to let go in order to grab something more that fits more with what I want, well, what if I lose everything? It's that fear, that risk, okay? But that's the thing, pile number 3. Cliche as it is, I'm just going to say it. As your higher self is saying, we can never achieve more if we never try. Okay, not that you haven't been trying necessarily, pile 3, but especially for those of you that maybe have been wanting to do something different or wanting to go after a certain goal or dream, and you've been telling yourself, well, I don't know, it's too much of a risk, or oh, I don't know, I don't know if I'm good enough for that or to achieve that, or I don't know, what's the way it's always been, so let's just keep going this way, this moseying down this old road that we're used to, okay? Then you're never going to reach that goal, okay? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of, well, of course you're never going to get to that mountain in the distance because you never took the path to walk there. But we get trapped in these logical fallacies, as I said, of like, well, I don't know, I have this path and it goes down this way and it doesn't look too rough, so, well, or if it is rough, we think, well, we know how to navigate this roughness that we're used to. Without saying to ourselves, well, maybe I should at least try this other path because maybe there's less rocks in the way, there's less ruts and dirt from the rain. Maybe there's a greater pot of gold at the end of this rainbow over here. Okay. There's a reason you're desiring this thing, pile 3. I think your higher self is trying to tell you, you keep dreaming about this, you keep wanting it because you know it's better for you. You know that you want this deep down. But the problem lies in this card right here, intention. I'll just rephrase it. It says, lacking personal direction begets confusion and life is a pawn to someone else's game of chess. Where are you in life right now where you are the pawn in someone else's game of chess, pile 3? Are you living life by what you want, or are you living life by what other people want for you? Or what society says you should want is another unfortunate large pressure that we find ourselves falling to, right? We think, oh, well, society tells me this is the right thing to do, or I should do this, so I should just do this. Get this car, design my home or my room this way, take this job because it's more socially lauded by society, or, do this and do that. But what do you really want deep down, pile 3? I think that's another reason why you got surrendered to silence, because really what it's saying to you is, when is the last time you listened to yourself and your own heart and your higher self? It's almost like you've been going through life listening to the radio tune of every other station except the one within your own heart. So your higher self is saying, pile 3, turn that radio station dial a little bit more towards your own frequency. What does it say when you surrender to meditation and silence? I bet you that desire is going to come screaming out really loud and clear. I'm sure it's probably been screaming at you already. You just may be like, I don't know. It's a little scary to take that risk, so I'm just going to tamp this dream down. So that's the mechanism of change here that your higher self is asking you to take. Especially because in the near future you have the Hangman reverse. Actually, I'm going to put your Oracle card sideways so that we can see this a bit clearer. If you ever want to view the cards a bit more clearly. God, look at all that green, dang. Lots of green. Feel free to reverse and look at that when they were upright. But looking at the tarot cards here, pile 3. Yes, that mechanism change. All it requires from you is a perspective change. That's what the Hangman reversed represents. It's you need to change your perspective on something, or you're being highly encouraged to, I should say. Because your pot of gold you're looking for at the end of the rainbow is after that perspective change, because you have the Wheel of Fortune upright after that piece of advice in the near future. I can tell you want to leave really badly. Because look at this. You have the 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups upright, pile 3 is often about, I want to emotionally move on from something, or I'm trying to emotionally move on from something. I don't know what it is that's making you feel like the current situation that you're in is like clutching to you very deeply. The imagery I'm almost feeling is it's either like a gilded cage, like maybe it's a job that pays really well, but you're not really happy there, is one example. Or the other imagery I'm seeing here intuitively is like something's got its like claws clutched into your shoulders and is holding onto you really tight. And you're like, I don't know. Maybe that is the devil, is holding onto you. Like, well, who knows, if something's better out here, you should just stay here, right? But she wanted so bad. And I think, you might even be in the process already of kind of starting to prep for that, because you do have the 6 of Swords as your current situation card, pile 3. And the 6 of Swords is a card of literally like moving on from something, moving away from what is no longer fruitful pastures, what have been fallow fields, towards a place of greater fruition and satisfaction and safety and contentment. Okay. He doesn't get into the boat to leave because he wants to. He gets in the boat to leave because he has to. Okay? Because there is something better for him out there. So I think with that being your present position, pile 3, if you have already started embarking on this, basically this is your higher self saying, clap, clap, good for you, you're on the right path. So if you've been doubting this recently, you've already tried to make this move, your higher self is saying, don't doubt that. You're on the right path. For those of you that are still doubting and you still haven't made that transition, but maybe you will soon, because this is the present position card, you're being encouraged and kind of pushed even more by your higher self. Yes, please. Go for this dream. Go for it. Because as I said, when you change your perspective on it, that's where your fortune lies, as the outcome with the Wheel of Fortune upright. There are really good things waiting for you on the other side of this journey, pile number 3. I know it's scary. I know it's tough. Everything in life that's new. Humans, we always fear the unknown. The unknown is a big, scary, nebulous thing. What can happen? What can jump out at us at the side of that path that we've taken on towards that mountain we want to climb? Okay? Bandits, maybe. A wild animal that'll bite our leg. Those are like mundane examples, but, sometimes it might be, what if I fail? What if the thing I do isn't received the way that I want it to be received? What if I suck? Or what if I don't know, what other self-defeating thoughts? Things like that. I don't have to list every example in the world, pile 3. But that's the thing, as I said, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you'll never get there if you never give yourself the chance to take that path to get there. Okay? At that point, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, because you're like, well, of course you're not going to get there if you don't take the path, okay? I do want to ask a little bit more as a final question for you, pile 3, on the Hangman, like more about like what perspective changes that your higher self wants you to embark on in order to help you maybe make this transition if you choose to do so. So let me draw cards on that. So higher self of pile 3, could you tell me a little bit more about what advice do you have in terms of their perspective shifts that you would suggest to them? You know, it's odd too, though, because with your revisit card, pile 3, I almost wonder if it's not so much even a new path, but you returning to something, hence the mechanism of revisit. Like, as I said, it's nostalgic. Or then same thing, too, with the Hierophant. It's a tradition. Like, maybe you tried something new and it's not working out, so you're considering, well, maybe I should go back to the path of what I had before. But once again, you get that, like, oh, devil I know situation where you're like, well, I'll just keep going with this. But even though deep down you might know, I want to go back to what I had. That might be part of it, too. It might not be necessarily a journey into the unknown, pile 3. It might be a journey back to where you were. Okay. So we have, yes, the Queen of Swords reversed. The perspective shift. The Ace of Cups, yes. And we have the Two of Pentacles reversed. The perspective shift your higher self is suggesting here with that Hangman. The clarifier cards here. You have the Queen of Swords reversed, which can mean sometimes not using logic, or sometimes it can mean using logic internally when it comes to our own conversations with ourselves, to the point of saying, like you're relying on logic too much, pile 3. Like, well, logically, like, oh, I get paid better here at this job, or, oh, well, logically this is stable, so I don't know, I should just throw this dream in the trash, or what are other logical statements that might hold us back? I mean, logic is great, pile 3. I mean, we need logic to function, right? It's, you know, can't live without it. But at the same time, sometimes we like over logic ourselves into things, and we don't honor the heart enough. And I think that's where this Ace of Cups comes into, because the Ace of Cups is very opposite from the Queen of Swords. The Ace of Cups is the water suit. Water suit in tarot tends to represent our feelings, our relationships, and especially with the Ace of Cups, it's like this wellspring of new emotional energy and blessings, too, is another interpretation of the Ace of Cups, too. Just to the point where our cup literally filleth over, just as the water's overfilling the cup in the hand in this depiction. Your higher self is saying to switch the perspective less about what logic says and more about what does your heart say. What excites you emotionally the most? So when you're standing at this crossroads, it's almost like you're standing at, you know, you got one sign and path over here and you got a sign and path over on this side. This path over here is marked with a brain, hence the logical path. It's the path you've been on. Over here is the path marked with the heart, and that's the new path that you maybe, well, or something that you're revisiting, or is like a new path in some way. And so pile 3, you're being asked by your higher self to consider, maybe don't keep going on the logical path. Try maybe going on the emotional path, the heart path. What does the heart say with this, okay? And then 2, the Two of Pentacles reversed can represent situations in life, especially regarding perspectives, where we feel like we're not able to balance something. Because literally you can see what she's doing here. She's on one foot. The waves are kind of cresting behind her. Everything seems topsy-turvy. She's almost like a juggler, okay? Reversed, it's this feeling of, well, how do I balance the finances, especially with Pentacles energy? Finances, career. How do I balance this? How do I handle, like, you know, or maybe it's even like you want to keep your job, but you also want to start something new, like a side business. You're like, well, how am I going to manage all of this? How am I going to juggle this with my time and my resources? Okay, there's something here with that. Your higher self is saying, change your perspective on what, like, these things mean to you. Okay, so follow the heart path, but then also with the Two of Pentacles reversed, I almost want to say, I think you're not believing in yourself enough, pile 3. I think you can't handle it, but you can. Especially if you follow the heart, pile 3. A lot of the best work we do in life and the best choices we make in life are the choices we make with heart, not necessarily logic. You want a good balance of both, but I think your higher self is saying, you're erring a little bit too much on this side of things. You want more of the Ace of Cups energy. if you tackle it with more heart rather than logic, that will help you balance things more. But also, as I said, believe in yourself more. I know it's cliche, but sometimes we all need to hear it. You can juggle this. You just think you can't. Okay. So your higher self is almost saying, well, why do you have this self-defeating belief, pile 3? Why do you think you can't do it? Because you're well on your way to that success and fortune here. You have the Wheel of Fortune as an outcome. Maybe you don't believe in your capability for leadership. You don't maybe believe in your ability to bring things to fruition or success, but pile 3, you have the Wheel of Fortune as an outcome. And in some of you, it might even be that you have this limiting belief because you already tried it in the past. That might be another way that the Hierophant and the Revisit card play a factor for some of you in this reading. In which case, just because you failed before doesn't mean you're going to fail again. Every time we do something, it's a new cast of the die of fate, pile 3. It does not mean we're going to fail again. In fact, oftentimes we don't fail the second time because we learn from the mistakes of the first time. Okay, so if you really want something, if you keep finding yourself dreaming about a certain path, if you keep feeling like you're not happy where you are, and you feel like other factors are controlling your life and you're not in the captain's position steering the ship, that is your sign from your higher self saying, maybe then choose the path of the heart and the new path and believing in yourself with this dream. Okay? So, that's your reading for today, my wonderful pile number 3. As I always say, I hope number 1, that it helped you. That's what I care about, numero uno, with these readings. And, of course, that you liked it and it resonated with your situation. If so, here's my usual YouTube spiel. You know the drill, as I always say, like, comment, subscribe. You've been on YouTube before, you know how it works. But thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things. It helps the channel and myself immeasurably when you do, even just liking the video. That helps. You don't have to comment or subscribe, just like. But yes, extra thanks for those of you who do all 3 or just 2 of those things, etc. So, as we always say in our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 3.